Homicide 15 years ago.
I don't want to scare the rest of the passengers.
I'm afraid you're stuck with us, Captain.
This is your captain speaking. The seatbelt signs have been turned up.
We just lost an engine. Losing altitude. My passengers, my responsibility. I'm gonna need your help. You're gonna need this.
The movie begins with a pilot rushing through the airport as he is running late for his flight. Brody Torrance, he receives a call from his daughter, whom he plans to meet in Hawaii after he is done with the flight. It is New Year's Eve, and his daughter is worried that he wouldn't make it in time to spend the new year together. Fortunately, he reaches his aircraft in time, where he learns from his co-pilot, Dell, that the flight officer has not yet made a visit. The two pilots then get to know each other as Dell shows Torrance the bad weather situation that they will face on their way. As they chat, the flight officer enters and informs them that Trailblazer 119, their aircraft, would set off for Tokyo with 14 passengers. Torrance, at that moment, expresses his concern about the weather and suggests an alternative route for the flight. Next, a flight attendant enters the deck and introduces herself as Bonnie before informing Torrance that he was needed in the jetway, where he is met by police officers with a handcuffed person. The man's name is Louis Gaspar, and he is being extradited on charges of homicide. Many sorts of passengers are seen, among whom are Sinclair, a short-tempered businessman, and a bothersome couple who complain about the plane's condition. With everyone settled with their seatbelts secured and takes off the flight, everything goes smoothly. The pilots talk to each other about their families. However, things start to take a turn when they meet the storm they had expected to come across. Torrance alerts everyone to fasten their seatbelts and contacts the air traffic control to notify them of the situation, but receives no response. As they fly ahead, they get deeper into the storm. Suddenly, a flash of lightning strikes the plane, shaking the whole aircraft and panicking the passengers. Leaving Dell in control, Torrance goes to the cabin to calm the passengers down and sees a scene with the passengers' belongings that fell due to the strike. Unfortunately, the plane is struck again, making Torrance lose his balance and hit his head, causing it to bleed. Trying his best, he reaches the deck and takes over the flight, with the entire power and communication cut off and a big rainstorm ahead. The pilots try their best to find a way to get a signal. They try every possible way but see no solution. Knowing that the battery won't last more than a few minutes, they make an impromptu decision to land the plane anywhere possible. Bonnie slowly commands them to fasten their seatbelts and not leave their seats no matter what. Officer Knight's phone falls from his hands. He decides to be ignorant and goes to pick it up. Isabella goes save him, but another strike shakes the whole plane and instantly shoots them off, killing them right then and there. A horrified Bonnie warns everyone to stay in their seats, no matter what, and after witnessing what happened to the policeman, they don't dare to move again. Inside the cockpit, the pilots finally find a suitable place to land, but they only have 3 minutes before the engines run out. With the clock ticking over their heads, they put all their effort to go down. Just when the plane is about to crash, Torrance sees a road and turns the plane in its direction. With a lot of difficulties and the blades of the plane cutting through the forest trees, the captain manages to make a successful landing. Everyone celebrates that they are finally on the ground and figure out that they might be on an island somewhere in the Philippines. Since the airplane hasn't stabilized yet, the passengers are asked to immediately get off of it through the emergency exit. On the contrary, the CEO of the airline sets a meeting about the Trailblazer 119's missing. The plane's signal was last received in Manila, but was soon disconnected. The officers discuss all the possible ways to find its location. In the next scene, Bonnie asks Torrance about Gaspar and hands him the keys to his handcuffs, which she found while evacuating the plane. Torrance and Dell find out it is Jolo Island. Upon hearing the name, Dell freezes. He informs Torrance that it is an island ruled by heavily armed anti-militias who are known for killing and robbing. Torrance decides to hide this from the passengers to not cause a state of panic. Instead, he tells them that they might have landed in the Philippines and that they will try to find a way to ask for help. Sinclair, being the man that he is, protests that they stay inside the plane, to which Torrance replies that staying inside the plane was a big no. Given the power cut and the heat, the passengers take Torrance's side and tell Sinclair that he should just appreciate what the pilots did. Thereafter, Torrance and Dell go to check if they can get the power back on. However, they fail to do so. Driven by his curiosity about Gaspar, he checks the officer's bag and gets off after getting his gun. Torrance tells them his plan and uncuffs Gaspar. The two then set off to look for help. Back in the headquarters in New York, everyone is still looking for clues, but they find none. Given the little information that they could be in the Philippines, Scarsdale uses every connection he has to help the people out. At last, the mercenary Black Ops are called in for the rescue mission. Going deep into the forest, Torrance questions Gaspar about his intentions because he found a pocket knife while going through his belongings. However, a mysterious Gaspar gives him no information. Then we are introduced to the chief of the anti-militia. He is informed by one of the villagers of the plane landing. Furthermore, he tells them that it landed near the mines. Junmar concludes that it could not be the army since his spies didn't give him any such information. Torrance, on the other hand, is alone now because Gaspar fled midway. He reaches a warehouse where he is able to make a call after fixing a few circuits. He calls the airlines and notifies them of the whole situation, but the person on the line doesn't understand him well. Before the line gets cut, Torrance then calls his daughter Daniela, who is worried sick by now. She picks up and learns everything from him. He then tells her to get the information through to the airlines. All of a sudden, he gets attacked from behind. He tries his best to break free, and after a long while of struggling, Torrance manages to knock the attacker down. Simultaneously, he hears gunshots and gets his gun ready. With footsteps approaching near, he meets Gaspar, who then hands him a rifle. While on their way down, Torrance sees a bunch of dead bodies of people who Gaspar killed. They then find a camera with a video, through which they learn that foreigners were robbed in that place before them. Worried that the same will happen to the passengers, the duo rushes to them in the robber's van. The passengers happily stand up, hearing the sound of the vehicles, but soon get thrown off by the gunshots, knowing it's not the rescue that they had hoped for. Torrance and Gaspar reach there just in time as the robbers are taking over the passengers. They forcefully take the passenger list from Bonnie and ask for Torrance, but no one tells them who he is. Just then, a girl tries to escape and is instantly shot. Torrance tries to interfere and help them, but Gaspar holds him back, knowing that going in front of the robbers as the captain would be foolish. Junmar orders two of his men to take everything from the passengers that could give them money. Gaspar and Torrance then capture him and force information out of him. They then find out that they are headed to Desolate village, but fail to get more information than that.
Rescue expert learned about the situation there from Brad's daughter. That means their plane is stuck on the island there. And there is also a very dangerous private army. He tells the owner of the airline, to which he says to send your private team and rescue team immediately. Then these people quickly find the island and their plane, at which they decide that the leader of the private team will go there first with his team, on which Brad and Tony were driving towards the factory. When they reach it, they slip inside, where all those goons were taking videos of the passengers, show which passenger is from which country. Now the private team will also get close to the plane, but when he doesn't see anyone there, the team leader goes inside the plane and checks, where were the two dead. In addition, Brad's message to get into the factory is also found there. They were both hiding in the factory, keeping an eye on the goons, of which two goons come out from behind and grab them, and shut their mouths and suffocate them, by which they die. Then they go to the secret door. They reach outside the room. Inside this room were all the passengers. There were a lot of guards standing there, seeing who makes Tony very angry. That's why he takes a hammer there and kills everyone one by one. Brad then takes the keys from the goon and frees the passengers from the room. He then tells everyone to get near the plane as soon as possible, because he radioed for help. The rescue team must arrive. He then makes everyone sit on the bus. Then Tony comes up to him and tells him that there are a lot of idiots standing outside, so we can't get out of here. Seeing the passengers worried, he says, I will distract the passengers. While Tony, you take all the passengers out of here. After saying that, Brad walked out of there and came to the fools. He says in his head that my team is coming here. That is why you are leaving my passengers. Now the goons come and start beating him, and his head says, how can I leave it like this? I will not leave anyone without money. After he is about to kill Brad with a bullet, then a private team comes here and attacks him. He shoots a lot, in which many goons are killed. She then starts taking Brad and walking out of there. He sits on the bus and leaves. The leader of the fools sees it along with the rest of the fools. My brother was also killed, so he gets very angry. So he tells his team to hurry up, prepare, and yes, don't leave anyone behind. Kill them all one by one. Guard Brad starts talking to the private team. Then his head tells him we are a small private team who didn't come here to save you, because we are not a rescue team. There is still time for them to come. Once Brad starts to get nervous, he says no problem. I have an idea. After that, these people also approach the plane, where all the passengers. Tony is already embarrassed. Brad then tells his people that a private team has come here to help us, and now with their help we will drive the plane. And he leaves immediately. So now everyone get on the plane quickly, because we can't wait for the rescue team. There is still time for them to come, and if we stay here, that dangerous army will kill us. After hearing this, all the people are sitting in the plane, while Brad starts repairing the plane along with the leader of the private team, where goons come and attack them. See who the private team starts stopping. And there are a lot of bullets falling from both sides. But this team had a lot of good weapons, so they kill a lot of goons. Brad tells the team leader that I will take off the plane in 5 minutes. That means I will shoot, after which we all fly. Then he also thanks Tony for being so supportive. Then Brad steps in between the bullets and sits down, and he begins to fly the plane together with his co-pilot. Tony's bullets are gone, and when he checks the private team bag, he finds a bag of money there. But for now, he leaves the money and starts fighting the gun goons from the other bag again. By then, Brad had also turned the whole plane around. Then the private team starts climbing the plane too. The owner of the airline told Brad, I'll tell you a safe place where you can go. All the people get on the plane, but Tony doesn't.
Shellback and Gaspar are still out fighting. Gaspar finds the bag of money, the mercenary zone, while trying to recoil the rifle. As it is time to set off, everyone but Gaspar gets in. Gaspar leaves with the bag of money, and Shellback just watches him do so.
A private army attacks his plane. His guide considered bringing a rocket launcher in front of the plane and flying it in one shot. But Tony saw him. He shoots him and drops him. It stops doing that.
Saving the plane, Torrance sees the missile go off in a different direction and feels relieved, but is again disturbed as Junmar picks up the RGF. Ready to shoot the plane, Junmar has his car parked in front of the plane, which he thinks will stop it. However, Torrance, who has no plans to oblige, takes off the plane right through them.
While the owner of the plane tells him about the airport where these people could go, which was very close. Then Brad starts the plane to that side, but the plane starts to break down again. This is why Brad crash lands again. And after their plane lands, the jungle path begins to move forward. All lives were saved. That's why she was very happy.
With the help of the air traffic that is finally connected via the rescue team, they find an airport near, just reachable with the plane's remaining capacity. Torrance successfully lands the plane, in a place where there are no more attackers this time. He is congratulated by the applause of the passengers. Finally, everyone gets off the plane. The movie ends as Torrance gets off after them, as a hero.